Okay. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, I gotta do it. As a patient, I gotta do it, especially with what's happened in the last couple of days. All right, Barca fans. I mean, I was seeing when PSG, barely beat Angers, 1-0 to Angers. Struggling against Angers mid-table, Ligue 1 teams, barely beating Nantes, struggling to a 17th place Spurs team, the same Spurs that just beat Man City. But Barca, struggling against promoted Levante. This is supposed to be the best team in the world. This is supposed to be the team that would have beat PSG in the Champions League final. 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝘼𝙎𝘾. No. But on a more serious note, all right, rivalries aside and whatnot, Barcelona 3, Levante 2. And before I'll go and get on to the more like tactical analysis of the game and talking about it, you got to go and say to Barcelona, respect for the hustle. I mean, it shows some cojones to be 2-0 down at halftime, come back within 6 minutes and already be back into the game. So kudos to Barca and showing the resilience to really show that it ain't over till it's over. Remontada FC once again. So kudos to that. They continue to show they were never out of it. They showed belief. They continued. They fought on. And at the end of the day, we can say whatever we want, mock this and that. At the end of the day, Barcelona won the game. It's not about how you do it. It's that you do it. At the end of the day, Barcelona go walk out of Levante with all 3 points. And at the end of the day, that is all that matters. 100%. But to go into a more tactical analysis of the game, I think there's no real other place to go and start to talk about this is the fact that, listen, I said it obviously ironically at the beginning of the video again, but one of the thing with Barcelona with me is that Barcelona going forwards, and even you can say in the midfield, is probably up there, and you could make a reasonable case that probably one of, if not the best team in the world in that aspect. You can make the case. However, I'm sorry, but it's not even defensively necessarily, because I think defensively Barca is okay, but it's this high line. Like, I'm sorry, I know Hansi Flick's used it consistently, so on and so forth, but I'm sorry, if you are going and getting picked about by a promoted Levante side, and okay, yes, of course, I'm not saying Levante promoted sides in La Liga usually cause a lot of the Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, a lot of issues. But I'm sorry, if a Levante who no disrespect to Levante, don't have crazy players in terms of quality, are being able to put Barcelona on the back foot, what can you imagine if a PSG, if that's a Barcola, a Doué, a Dembele, a Salah, a Cole Palmer, an Mbappe, a Vinny running in behind Barca like that? Like, this is what I'm saying. I'm sorry, this suicidal high line is what's doing Barca. Like, at the end of the day, I can go and say whatever you want. Of course, again, it works because they get caught offside a lot. The issue is the margin of error is so thin. I just don't think it's worth it, because yes, you might get called 15 times offside in a single game, but the 2 times you're not, it leads to a goal. So is it really worth it? Is it not worth sometimes just being a bit more, if you want, conservative and dropping off a bit more, or not playing as suicidally, and maybe not be able to recover the ball nearly as high as you want, but overall suffer less chances? Because if every single time you're going and it's a single ball in behind, the player is through one-on-one with the keeper or has an easy sweat, I'm sorry, in a Champions League, you're getting picked out. If Levante, exactly, they're not able to time the runs. I mean, people went and said about PSG, Chelsea going in and being able to poke the holes in PSG's games, and of course PSG have holes in their game, but PSG's not perfect. I'm sorry, I think the thing with this Barca thing, the holes are so much easier to pick out. All it is if you can time your run just 3 times in your game, you're getting 3 big chances in that game, guaranteed every single time. Because the thing with PSG is I feel like Barca only know how to play one way, and it's this extremely high intensity, high press, high line game. And okay, yes, it works and whatnot, that Barcelona score a lot of goals. They'll in terms of going forwards, there's no issues. Barcelona may very well be the best team in the world, but I'm sorry, football is played attacking and there's defensively. And the issue is that against the best teams in the world, against your PSGs, your Real Madrids, your Liverpools, your Arsenals, so on and so forth, you're not going to dominate the possession every single time. You're not going to have 60, 70, 80% possession against the City, against the PSG, against an Arsenal, against a Liverpool, against a Madrid. So the issue is that when you do have it, if you play this suicidal high line, you're going to get exposed. And I think it goes to shows, you go and you look at the games and whatnot, you could argue that bar realistically the Bayern game last year, every other time Barcelona has come up against, big, massive opposition, or maybe the Madrid game also when in the 4-0 at the Bernabeu, Barcelona always struggle. And even in that game against the Bernabeu, it was more so that, yes, Real Madrid were a bit wasteful in front of goal, but you're going to look at their big games, their ties against big teams and whatnot, against Inter, first 3-3, second 4-3, against Real Madrid 3-2, 4-3 in that final El Clasico, against Atletico Madrid 4-2s, 4-4s, 2-1s. As in, they suffer too many things. And sometimes football is about, yes, it's about outscoring your opponent, but it's also about conceding less goals than your opponent. And I feel like Barca's very good on that first bit in outscoring their opponent. They will go and if they're going to go in a shootout, they can go and win that. But when it comes in terms of, conceding less than your opponent, it's just everything's open. And it's not that I think Barcelona is not, the world best defensively and whatnot, but they're not bad, right? I mean, I don't remember. I think the core of this defense and whatnot is the same defense that, allowed Xavi a couple of years ago to win La Liga with an impeccable defensive record. So the things are there. It's just the tactics. And for as good as Hansi Flick is and as impressive as it is, as what he's done to this Barca team, I'm never going to go and put that into question. I'm sorry, but I just feel like in a big, massive champion against a better team, better opposition, even forget the Champions League, against better La Liga opposition, I'm sorry, it's going to be found out. And I just don't know if this type of play is sustainable. So yeah, for me, that's my biggest thing with Barca is that, yes, of course, they look extremely scary going forwards. But the thing is, if you're patient enough, if you time your runs correctly and you release the ball at the right time, or you make sure you stay on the touchline, you're going to have guaranteed 3-4 chances. To go and you look at the difference, PSG, you can say whatnot, in the two league games against Nantes and oh my goodness, why am I blanking right now? Against Nantes and against Angers, yes, they didn't score nearly as many goals. They only scored twice. They didn't really dominate in terms of going forwards and whatnot. But conversely, PSG have not allowed a single shot on target. So defensively, PSG is much more resolute, much stronger, and much better overall. When you look at Barca, I mean, okay, they didn't concede in that first game, but Mallorca had chances, not to mention the fact that in that first game, there was 2 red cards that were in their favor. And in the second game, I mean, if it's not for a few, offside calls and whatnot, Barcelona could have very legitimately drawn this game or potentially lost it. And again, all that to say, at the end of the day, Barca won the game fair and square. You could even argue that the penalty, so on and so forth, I'll get into that a bit later, could have gone in their favor. But I just think that against better opposition, I'm not sure. And my thing is that on the one hand, I could go and argue with PSG or Madrid and whatnot, things are okay, it's going to be found out eventually. They're going to figure themselves out. But this high line, I feel like even when we saw it at its best last year, yes, it catches teams out a lot. And we mean a lot. We saw it. Barcelona, by a country mile, was the team that caused the other team to be offside. There's no question there. However, then you go and you look at it on the opposite side, defensively, it's just 1 or 2 auction opportunities, and they were through. Barcelona lost that tie against Inter because of their high line. When you look at the goals that Inter, the first 2 goals they scored in the return leg were both directly causes of Barca's high line. And I just feel like if they apply that same thing this year against the Bayern, against the PSG, against the Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Real Madrid, they're going to get found out. And I don't think if they go down against a Real Madrid 2-0, yes, they can obviously come back, but it makes your thing a lot more difficult. And especially when you think of the fact that if they go down 2-0 against them, they're now having to commit even more men forward to get back into the game, which just means that their high line is going to be even more exposed. So I don't know. I really, really do not understand the tactic. I think if you just go and say, let's drop a bit deeper, let's not play nearly as high, because there were times where you've got a Levante player literally 10 yards away from his own half with the ball at his feet, and the furthest Barcelona player back is at half. So there's a 10-yard gap between the two. All it is one decently clipped ball, a good run, and they are through on goal and they're running. So yeah, I don't know. I think defensively, sometimes it is okay to be a bit more pragmatic, to be a bit more conservative. And I just don't know. I don't understand why Hansi Flick's not doing so. And the thing is, I'd be really curious to, aside from, the rivalry, so on and so forth, as a Barca fan, what is your feeling on it? Because are you okay with this high line? Do you still vouch for it? Personally, as I could never have Luis Enrique be doing something like that. I just think it's too suicidal. It's too high risk, high reward. The margin of error is much too small for me to be comfortable with it. But yeah, other than that, in the game, I thought Barcelona players that were good. I thought that Pedri, obviously man of the match. I think Pedri was excellent today. Absolutely magisterial again. Bombasso of a goal. Golazo. Brilliant goal. Was good. Dictating play. I mean, the pitch, I mean, listen, of course, you can't use that excuse, but yeah, the pitch waterlogged. I think it was done on purpose. I found it really funny when the pitch was already waterlogged and they watered it at halftime. I mean, hey, it's their pitch. You're allowed to do. This is why you have home game advantage and whatnot. You're allowed to do these things. So fair enough. Who else? I thought Pedri was good. I thought Rafinha was quiet. I don't think that Rafinha at the 10, I don't think it was good today. I thought Rafinha was really quiet today. Of all the attackers, I think he was the quietest. Ferran Torres, missed his chance, but got his goal in the second half to get Barca back into the game. Who else? I thought Rashford, funnily enough, was actually really good in the first half. And I think he's a bit unlucky and unfortunate that he was one of the first to be called off of the attackers. I thought that he was better in that first half than, as Chris may say, I think he was better than Yamal in that first half. I think he looked lively. He was beating his man. He was getting balls in, crosses in, and whatnot. And I think it's a bit unfortunate that he was called off. Maybe again, I don't know what's going on in the background. Maybe it was fitness, this and the other. So there could be that plays a factor into it. But yeah, I think Yamal again was good. Did Yamal things again? It was he was good. He dribbled, did what Yamal did. I think it was a good game by him. Like a good 7 out of 10. Got an assist. Was at the cause for the own goal. Had opportunities there. Was winning free kicks. I think it was a good game from Yamal. But the one thing again I will say about Yamal, I think he just needs to improve on his decision making. I think and making the correct decision and at the correct time. Because I think he's dribbling impeccable. Definitely the best. I think he's by far the best in terms of every single game. Minimum is getting 5 successful dribbles, which is absolutely crazy. But the issue is that oftentimes his decision making in terms of taking the shot, I don't think it's there. It's yes, he'll go and score a really good goal, really like he did against Mallorca. But again, if it's after 9, 10 shots, it's some of those times laying it off, baking it, playing it to another teammate, it becomes a bit too predictable at times. And I think it's something that maybe he needs to go and improve upon and increase his palate on that. But overall, I think he had a good game. And it was overall a performance from Barca that you go and you say, we have the character. There's a lot of things we need to improve on. But overall, a win is a win. You got the job done and you move. But yeah, that's basically it. I'd be curious to know what you Barca fans, what other fans, what do you guys think of the game? Do you think that this high line from Barca can still be continued on for the rest of the season? Do you think it's suicidal? Do you think that Hansi Flick needs to drop it? I'd be curious to know what you guys think of it. But that's been me, and I hope to see you guys soon. And as always, thank you very much. And remember, stay safe, stay kind, and stay blessed. Godspeed.